Hi guys, this is Hiro. How's everyone doing today? Ajibale Kimcho, Aj Subkeseho. So today I want to go over why it's important to address your subconscious issues with your family, specifically your parents, in order to improve your spiritual like elevation or mental health situation. Okay. Now, this is really, really important, right? Because whatever sex you are, male or female, whatever parent is the same sex as you, so if you're a male, your father, and if you're a female, your mother, you're most likely going to, especially when it comes to relationships, you are going to act out a little bit like them. And whichever sex is the opposite, you are going to form certain perceptions and behavioral mechanisms and patterns based off of that individual, right? Because when you were younger, this was the main relationship you were exposed to. So this is kind of, and when you're younger, you're more impressionable, right? Because it's like you're being born into this world and there's like a clean slate in your mind. Okay, so your body's just soaking up energy like a sponge. I mean, not your body, but like yourself, you just your whole everything. It's just soaking up all this energy. So it's soaking up the energy of the relationship between your mother and father. So it's observing all this. So whatever flaws, because nobody's perfect, right? Nobody. No relationship is perfect. This is why it's recommended to get married to, accept that and accept others and therefore accept yourself and everything like that. But that's not what this video is about. So no relationship is perfect. So the flaws in that relationship from an energetic standpoint, okay, a lot of people think it's just from a material standpoint. No, from an energetic standpoint, will present itself in you, and which is something that you need to work on eventually. Okay, now this is very, very hard. Why? Because it's deeply wired in your subconscious or who you are. Okay, so it's not going to be the most quickest thing, right? Like, for example, if something happens now, it's really easy to work on it, right? Because there's life before this and there's life after this. So you kind of have an idea of what got exposed or what changed. Like if you had some really bad breakup or something, you could be like, oh yeah, hey, it's okay that, not everybody wants me or whatever, got exposed, right? Whatever appeared that you need to handle, right? But when it's something like with this is more like after a little while, possibly, of, like the spiritual life or like, trying to improving yourself mentally or things like that. Because this is so deep inside you. So it kind of requires a very high level of awareness in some senses to improve the situation. Okay. Now, there's 4 things you need to watch out for when it comes to, before I get to those 4 things, actually, let me just say something. If you were in a household, fortunate enough, where there was a man and woman living together, or your biological mother and father, okay, let me just say that, your biological mother and father living together, and they were together, at least throughout your upbringing, it's more ideal. Why? From an energetic, or it's requires less work than someone whose biological mother and father were not together. And let me explain why. It's because no matter, even if it was bad, if your mom and dad, your biological mom and dad were together, that means that they were behaving in somewhat, I guess you can say, of like an energetic equilibrium to form an energetic environment to produce a situation where 2 people could, stay together. Okay. No matter how bad it was, they were energetically, somehow, some way acting or encompassing themselves to at least stay together, no matter how good or bad it was, right? But if there was a split, that means that the energies that I guess you can say comprise of you or comprise of your subconscious were not a match. So you're kind of going to behave and seek and act out in a way that's not going to be a match. So it's going to require more work from you. But I just want to make that completely transparent right now. Okay. But now, I'll get on the situation of the 2 parents not living together in a bit. Let me talk about the 2 living together. So let's just say there's two people living together. So there's four things I want you to keep a watch for. There's from either parent, so whatever sex is the same as you, and from whatever sex is the opposite. There was things that they did that you liked. There was things that they did that you didn't like. There was things that they did not do that you liked. And there was things that they did not do that you did not like. Okay, let me just give you one quick example of all of these. There's things that they did that you liked. If they gave you some kind of affection, validation, experiences, all this kind of stuff. If there's things that they did that you did not like, you can kind of say would be like anger. They gave you something, this anger, this thing that you did not like, right? There's things that they did not do that you liked. Let's just say they didn't do, bad things really. Okay, they didn't. Let's just say they didn't get angry. Okay, and then or they didn't do any physical violence. They didn't. They were not like alcoholics or something like that. And then there's things that they did not do that you did not like. Let's just say they did not give you any attention, affection, or love or anything like that, and you did not like it, right? So this is an example of these four. So over time while you're growing up, out of each of the parents, and I know I'm kind of talking about them a little bit independently, but remember, if you were in a situation where the two people were living together, they were somehow acting in an energetic equilibrium. So if you notice, for example, there's an energetic imbalance in one, there's probably a similar energetic imbalance in the other. It might be on the opposite extreme. I talk about extremes a lot in my videos, but there was a similar level of imbalance probably between the two at some level. It may not have manifested itself externally in the same ways, or that might be perceived as good or bad, but most likely this was the situation, okay? Most likely. So moving forward. So there's somehow an energetic imbalance in these four, okay? Now, no matter how big or small. So over time, this imbalance affects you more and more and more, okay? Now, to get it out of you, it's going to take some time because this is literally deep, deep, deep inside you, right? This is not just something you can just snap your fingers and, oh yeah, this is something that I do. Let me just stop doing it. It's not like that. This is actually the wrong way to approach it, okay? Because energetically, it's actually creating even more of an imbalance because you're trying to resist what's energetically, subconsciously programmed from a mental standpoint, okay? And like I said in some of my other videos, what you resist persists. What you want to do is you want to accept. Acceptance is the key. And I have many, many other videos on acceptance on my channel, so you can watch those. But I just want to kind of make this video to get the ball rolling on what you should and should not accept, or what you should accept, right? Because you can probably accept everything almost. So what you should accept. For example, if your parents were very angry, either one, right? You want to accept possibly being an angry person if the same sex person was angry, or if the other sex person was angry, you want to accept possibly someone else getting angry at you, okay? Because that could be like a little bit of a trigger thing in your body, right? Like if somebody gets angry at you, you might behave in a little bit of a different way. Or if somebody did not, let's just say you didn't get that much genuine affection you felt, right? You need to accept possibly not being possibly an affectionate person, or not receiving affection from other people. And once you accept it, you won't be acting out of that vibe to kind of crave it, okay? Like, because you're energetically craving it a little bit, right? Because it's just an imbalance inside of you. However, the opposite spectrum is true for both of these examples, the affectionate thing and the anger thing. You want to also accept being angry yourself, okay? Or accept people not being angry at you. So I just gave the example of accept you being an angry person, or accept other people being angry at you, right? But you also need to accept them not being angry at you, which is kind of a little bit weird because you would think like, okay, like I'm okay if they're not angry at me. But you're subconsciously expecting almost them to be angry at you. So when they're not, it's like there's some void inside you, right? So you need to kind of acknowledge that. Same thing with the affectionate thing. Let's just say you need to accept, yeah, people not being affectionate towards you, but you also need to accept people being affectionate towards you because you're not used to it. It's like a whoa, like someone's being affectionate towards me. Like this is not something that we're used to. So you need to accept it. And same thing with your own self. You need to accept not only being affectionate because you're probably not the most affectionate person in this situation, or you need to accept not being affectionate at all. It depends on which extreme you kind of side to, because I'm kind of giving a very general video for everybody that's watching, right? But this is kind of what I want to say here, that this is a huge clue, because a lot of people are wondering, okay, how do I get started? What's like the things that are going to make the most impact? And this is the thing that's going to make the most impact, because your parents have the biggest influence on you, hands down. Okay. But a lot of people don't want to look at this because it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy. Okay, like because you've been used to, energetically being on in a certain area or a certain sphere your whole life. To change that, it's not easy, and it's definitely not going to. It's going to require some time, and there's a lot of information that could lead you astray and make the imbalance even worse, right? And then by you kind of trying to overdo it or resist it or do it, basically techniques to kind of do it faster, right? So like, for example, let's just say, you had an angry parent, right? And you're used to attracting the angry spouse. Well, somebody could give you an example like, oh, just make sure that, you watch out for the red flags and things like that and make sure that they're not angry people. That's great, right? I'm not saying that there's not some benefit in that, but you also need to do the energetic work that I said, or else you're going to attract people that even though they don't show the red flags, they might have it, or that even if you do attract someone that doesn't have it, you don't even know how to receive it because there's just that energetic imbalance in you that needs it. Okay, so I hope that kind of made sense. This is a very, very important video, but it's also very, very complicated and it's a short video. So I'm trying to explain it in the best way possible. But if you can understand this, and I kind of gave the general basic roadmap on how to do it, I think you'll notice that your own self with other people and the people that stay in your life, right? Because the law of attraction states that, the people that are in your life are basically you, kind of. Like, if you have certain imbalances, you're going to attract and keep people that have those imbalances. So if you fix them in you're going to automatically, it's just going to work out with other people in your life, right? It might not work out, right? That's all based off of your karma and things like that also. But you're definitely not going to deal with as many shitty situations. I'll tell you that much right now, okay? Or it's not going to be like, oh, like all these people, they have all these problems. Well, if they do have all these problems, most likely you have some problems also inside of you, right? If someone's acting a little bit too materialistic, most likely you have a little bit of that materialism inside of you as well, right? Like, for example, if you're a person who's someone you are talking to, or let's just say there's a pattern of people that you're talking to that are very materialistic in nature, very superficial, well, most likely they have some superficial stuff that you also admire and you're a little bit attracted to that. Okay, you just got to acknowledge that and accept it. And if you don't want to, that's fine. Like, no one's forcing you, but this is just what you need to do if you really want to fix a problem, okay? Or you can just complain and complicate your life even more. That's also an option. But I'm trying to give you tools to not do that. But at the end of the day, it's got to be you that has to put in the work. Or you can find a guru or things like that to help you. But if you do, you still need to do quite a bit of work and it's not going to be easy, okay? Yeah, so I'll just say that. So I think that's going to be it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, as usual, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I will talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.